CEO of Luxe Financial's accounting firm, and today I want to have a conversation about generational wealth and action. Building a legacy starts with you. Talking about it is one thing, but when you actually get out there and put action to it, that's when you change the world. Simply having a vision is not enough. You have to execute. And when you strike, make sure you strike with precision. My guest today comes from a family of visionaries. They're pioneers in the hair care industry. Her grandfather had a vision and created a beauty empire. After he lost his job at the steel mill, he became a barber to support his family right here in the city of Chicago. He had a mission to provide his clients with an experience that they couldn't get anywhere else. And from that experience came greatness. A Black family from Chicago, now in their fourth generation of wealth builders. She's the e-commerce manager here at the infamous Luster Products, Inc., a third generation Luster, carrying on her grandfather's legacy, and 5 years later, the legacy continues. Please help me welcome Simone Luster.
Yay! Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, thank you for being with us today.
Absolutely.
I'm so glad that we were able to come here and sit down and have a conversation with you all. Definitely saw the story that you posted on Instagram about your grandfather, how he started the company, and was like really inspired when I saw it. It was like, I have to have a conversation with her about generational wealth, what that's like, and just you being there firsthand. And so to get started, 66 years this year,
Right.
6 decades.
Right.
That is no easy feat for any type of business, but a Black-owned business, that is a major and great feat. And so, what lessons did you take away from your grandfather when it came to longevity and building something that was built to last?
Okay, so let me start out by saying first, my grandfather passed away when I was 1. So I didn't get to know him personally, or I wasn't old enough to actually remember his personality, but I've heard a lot of people talk about him, and things that he was so proud in was he wanted to build the wealth for the next generation. Like, that was something he had sacrificed so much. And his kids, absolutely, like my dad was mixing products in the basement and putting on labels when he was coming home from school.
Oh, wow.
And after some time, he realized that there was a shortage at first, and then he realized like he could do this. And once it picked up, he was able to support not only his family and help them reach their goals and dreams, but also his coworkers.
Wow.
So like, he was so ecstatic when he started getting papers about people wanted to buy houses, people wanted to buy homes, things like that. And he was like, I was able to do this for more than just my family. I was able to provide for multiple families. And he took pride in helping out our coworkers, and he took pride in giving back to the community. We have a foundation called the Black Heritage, well, it used to be called the Black Heritage Foundation, now it's called the Luster Foundation.
Okay.
But basically, we give back, we partner with different organizations, and that was something he loved to do. He loved to give back to the community. So we give back to the American Cancer Society, we give back to local families. We have a turkey and Christmas drive. We give out 500 turkeys.
Oh, wow.
And food, and we have a golf outing every year that we raise money for. So I think for him it was just very, very important to be philanthropic, but also he really, really wanted a company that was for us and by us, and he wanted to keep it in the family as long as we can, for sure.
Well, he definitely accomplished that.
Yes.
And you said you all started out in the basement.
Absolutely. He started mixing products in his basement because it was hard for him to find products at the time. So he found the ingredients that I could do this. So he first started doing it for him and his basically his clientele and the people that were also in the barbershop.
Okay.
And he didn't need a big space back then. He only needed a bigger space when there started to be a demand. Like, other barbers came and they were like, we want to learn what you're doing and we want to use the product that you're using.
Okay.
And And so after maybe 2 years, he went ahead and bought the storefront next to the barbershop.
Oh, okay.
And that was like the first manufacturing plant that he ever had, or like he was able to mix things, not in his basement, but he was mixing things in his basement for at least 2 years.
Okay. And so before he bought the plant, because I know I saw where he was like still holding on to being a barber before he like was completely like, no, I actually have something here. When he bought the plant next door, was he still being a barber, or did he end up like cutting it at that point?
He was still a barber at that point because it was still getting up and off the ground. I think he stopped in the 80s.
Okay. So that would have been like 30 years. So.
Yeah. So I think he stopped in the 80s, and he went to strictly just selling the products and manufacturing, because at that point we had a plant in the South Loop. When he was a barber, he cut a lot of celebrities' hair too. Like, he was known for just being a great barber in the city of Chicago.
Okay. And I know I saw that they started out with the relaxer, because like around that time, that's when we were getting the like the Chuck Berry dude with the straighten hair and relaxer hair. So how did that come about as being like the signature product?
So the first product that he made was the Luster style cream, which was a chemical process treatment.
Okay.
Back in the day when he made it, I want to say it was in the 1950s, late 1950s, there were a lot of men that were wearing straight styles, not women. So in the barbershop, they would come in there and that's what they would want. So he wanted to create a product that he was already using, because the issue was demand. Demand was not what it was at the time. So he was having a hard time finding products. So he just decided, I can make this particular product. And so that was his version of the product he was using.
Okay. Nice.
Yep, so Luster style cream was the first one. We actually have an ad I can show you.
Okay, I saw one in the video.
Right, with the little comb.
I would love to see the actual ad. I tried to get a screenshot.
Yes.
But I would love to see the actual ad.
Absolutely, I'll show it to you. So yeah, that was his first product, was a style cream. The one that really put him on the map would be S-Curl.
Really?
Yes. In the 1980s, S-Curl was like the new thing, and back then it was called S-Curl the man's look.
Really?
Yes, and every year.
And they were still, because I'm trying to think of the 80s, so the men were still pretty much like leading the way as far as hair care and, different styles are concerned.
Yeah, because they went straight first, and then they went curly after some time. And I think when they were going curly, women were straight. Or they were like doing the fro thing, but it was either the fro, which we've always had products for natural. The S-Curl No Drip is actually made, and Pink Oil Moisturizer. They're both texturized for Afro textured hair, natural hair.
Okay.
So he saw a need for that too, but in the 1980s, S-Curl took off.
Wow.
Absolutely. So that was the one that put him on the map. That was the one that really changed everything.
And see, I would have thought it was Luster Space.
So Pink is something that picked up, it was still a really good selling product, but absolutely like S-Curl was something that had not been done before. It was like a new kind of like process for you to get your hair differently, and it was a new look that a lot of celebrities were wearing at the time in the 80s. So men would come in and say like, I want this look.
But S-Curl.
Yes, and there's a couple of celebrities that would be like, I love the S-Curl, I use it, and you would not even.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you all are literally trendsetters, along with being pioneers, but you all set the trend for what was known as the S-Curl.
Yeah, so S-Curl is one of our brands, and a lot of people don't know that S-Curl is black owned. They don't know that we still make S-Curl products, and a lot of those go great with natural hair. But yes, definitely he was a pioneer, and just was with the times, you know what I mean? Like, was very, very hip to what was going on and saw a demand and met it for his customers, which is really, really, he was a great businessman. One thing I did not say is that my grandfather only had a 6th grade education.
Really?
He did not finish grammar school. He did not go to high school. He did not go to college.
Really?
So so everything he learned, he was self-taught.
Even the business part?
Absolutely, even the business part. when my dad got out of college, that's when they came to help him. Like, they were always coming back from, like, you know, they were in high school helping. In college, they would come home and help. But when it came to when they got out, they all had different disciplines.
Okay.
That would help to build assets for the company. So.
And I noticed that when I was doing my research, like, I noticed that your dad got his BS in business administration, and then went on to get an MBA, and then your uncle got a BS in chemistry. And so I'm like, oh, and then now, like, the roles that they're currently in and, like, that they started in align with their degree. And I'm like, was that planned? Was that, like, their initial, like, okay, you go and do this so that you can bring that skill back to the business?
I think it was a matter of, at the time, it was a coincidence, I think, at that time. I think that we all, I think especially them, wanted to go into business, you know, because it's such a broad spectrum. Mm-hmm. My dad has always had like a business like mine, so I do feel like he just, you know, my uncle said at first he went to, I think he had a different major at first. I want to say dentistry.
Okay.
And then he decided that he wanted to be a chemist instead, but I don't think they were all focused on let's do this and let's do this. It just worked out that way.
Okay.
And now all of us have our own disciplines because it does make it easier. We're not stepping on each other's toes. We have our own area where we can like grow.
And help out people in the family too.
Absolutely. Like, and it's building assets, you know what I mean? It's building experience and stuff. So we, me and my sister both went to school for business, and my brother went to school for multimedia.
Okay.
And then my cousin is in IT, and my other cousin works in production. So we're all
it's right there.
Right, different, absolutely different disciplines, you know, but they all make basically the train go. You get what I'm saying? Like they all keep it moving.
And I like that aspect of your family dynamic. Like everybody went and got their skills. Again, you can still do what you love and what you want to do, but then have to bring in that asset, which is your skills and your talent and your ability, bringing that back to the company and then using that to help further build this legacy and take it even further. So that's pretty dope.
Thank you. Yeah, that's it just worked out that way when me and my brother, my sister and I went to school. I think it wasn't a pressure for us to join the business, which was great because then it became our decision.
Okay.
It was never like, when you get done, you gotta come work here. When you get done, you need to major in this. You know, it wasn't any of that. It was, I definitely worked from high school and college, you know what I mean, here. I had another job somewhere else when I was in college too, but I mostly like worked here, you know what I mean, and did, learned different parts of departments and stuff. Like I worked in HR, I worked in sales, I worked in business services as well, just to see what would fit for me.
So you were interning throughout your high school and college years.
Yes, absolutely.
You got to try everything, which is rare, like that you get to try each department and see, okay, where do I want to be actually?
Absolutely. And that's something that I personally needed because I went to school again for business management, which is a wide spectrum. Mm-hmm. And marketing was something that interested me, but I think I wanted to do the broad spectrum because my sister was already a marketing major.
Okay.
And I felt like if she was a marketing major, I still was going to take some marketing classes, so I decided to just do the management side, because in that way I can fine tune it later, whatever I wanted to do. And it just worked out that I started with social media.
Okay.
And I've always had a passion for sales. When we would do our trade shows, I love to talk to people, and I love to sell products, and I love to give product recommendations. So if social media made it easier for me because it was a different way to advertise and market without using like those big billboards or doing the video ads.
Social media definitely made it like advertising and just selling and even like marketing your business 10 times easier than you have to go actually leave the house, go door to door, get the phone book, make the list, and so
or send out cards, things like that, or send out. So social media made it also fun to market. You get what I'm. It's different ways you can market. It's different ways that you can reach an audience. So it made it fun. So when I got into the e-commerce side, that was more so because COVID happened and we were seeing a influx in our like web store. And I had been managing it before, but there was a need for us to, because we've always pretty much been, we do sell to like other stores, but like the e-commerce store was a direct link to our consumers, which was very, very important. So I love the fact that I can still market through social media, as well as now email marketing, creating sales promotions, things like that. But I did start out with social media, and it kind of progressed from there. Like they both kind of go hand in hand.
Okay, that's how I'm gonna ask. So are you doing all of it, the social media, email marketing, like all of the, so as it relates to the selling on the e-commerce side?
So right now I'm exclusively on the e-commerce side.
Okay.
And I do inputs with our social media teams now. I'm not as hands-on as I was before. So I basically, anything internal that they need shot, I do. And then I also do some stuff like with my sales promotions. That's something that I would pretty much take head on.
Okay. And so I'm guessing you all have like a production studio in here too?
We have a media studio. It's currently under construction.
Okay.
But we have a media studio, absolutely. So that's what we use when we want to shoot content and things like that.
Okay, because I did check out some of the videos you all have posted on the website. So I'm like, okay, they're giving us in-house content.
Yes, that's very, very important. That's something with social media. Giving product knowledge as well as tutorials and things like that is very important for the business, because with all this communication that we have now and ways to reach out, you have to find different ways to talk to your consumer. And before we were used to, you know, the ads and creating a couple of those a year, but with social media you gotta keep turning them out.
Yeah. And how has that been for you all as a seasoned company, like moving into that transition of this constant media, this constant, you know, in the face right there. We want to be literally in your skin 24/7.
I will say that that's something that I don't think when social media first came about, it was something that was so new that nobody knew how to market. It's almost like TikTok now, where they're just starting to figure out how to market business on TikTok.
Yeah.
You have to find like a good medium. So for a while, social media was very foreign to us, you know, because we were used to shooting ads and getting them on TV or radio spots or things like that. So when it came this new way of just advertising, we had to take a step back and say, okay, what does that look like for us?
Okay.
And we had got in touch with our PR team, and the PR team was able to help us find our niche in the social media world. She was able to help us create a voice that resonated on social media, because social media was so new to us at first. It was so new.
It's still like fairly new. It's changing every day. Like they have literal webinars for like doing business on TikTok. Because I created TikTok, but I'm like, I'm gonna come back to this because I don't know, you know, where we fit into this. When you have a product, I feel like you could at least just show the product, but service-based business especially, it's like, what do we do?
So yeah, TikTok or just figuring out how to promote yourself is something that I can understand being harder with services, but I have seen people give like tips, things like that. My brother-in-law, he does financial literacy, so he basically just gives tips all day about what you can do to build your portfolio, how you should invest, and these are the things you should be looking for. So that's something that he does, and it's just basically doing a whole bunch of different things and seeing what sticks and what people like.
Right. And so what have you all been able to find that sticks and works for you, while still, again, keeping your position as the pioneers in the black hair industry, and just in the hair industry period, and then diving into this new world, marketing to this new generation of clients? How's that been for you?
I think our personality, or like the business itself, we want to be very family oriented. So for us, I think the biggest thing is reiterating that it's family owned, it's family operated. It's basically telling people that we're here for you guys. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the biggest message that we want to send, is that we're here, we invest in the community, as well as, you know, we've been rocking with you guys for 60 something years. It's more so we want to be known as like I guess the family that wants to keep this going, wants to stay with the culture and loves the culture and loves our community, and we want to be an example to other brands as well and show that, you know, you can keep going, you don't have to sell.
And that's a big thing right now. I saw your father mention that you all's strategy is progressive growth. So staying lean and agile, and, you know, sticking to what you all know, sticking to what you all do. Not, again, trying to follow the trends, but again, slow and steady and keeping it with the pace and still bringing that quality. You know, there's a lot of, what is your exit strategy as far as, like, you know, I'm talking about businesses. You need to have an exit strategy. You need to, you know, be looking to sell, and it's like they're not even looking at this idea that, hey, we can actually keep this in the family and have it going, you know, until we, you know, forever if we want to. But I think that's a strategy that's not, you know, really looked at that much these days. Again, mainly because of a money grab or whatever the case may be. And so with that, and you all being the next generation, leading the way, and the current coworkers that you have, how have you all been finding your way to continue on that legacy and make sure that you stick to those principles that you all were built on, but then also taking everything that's new, taking this new current state of doing business and making sure you all continue with that progressive growth strategy?
So for us, a big thing when you say progressive growth, we have learned to pivot. With COVID, we had to pivot. They were gonna shut us down because everybody was gonna shut down. So we were gonna have to work, you know, but we were gonna have to work from home, which means the plant couldn't have been open. And we found a way, because we started producing hand sanitizer for our coworkers.
Okay.
And once we started doing that, we were able to mass produce it. And we were able to stay open because we were producing hand sanitizer.
Oh, no, that's a nice pivot. Because you forget about that part, but you all are here manufacturing the product yourselves. So if they would have shut you all down, it would have been like, we can't get any product out. Like, what are we going to do? So that was a nice pivot.
Right. So I think seeing my dad and uncle and aunt manage the business as siblings have taught us that there is, do what you can, but also be committed to it. I've always seen my dad be committed to it. So it's interesting how I'm about the same age or a little younger when I remember him coming home and like knowing now that like every day he came home from his shop, he was building something for me and my brother and my sister. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what keeps me going. I have a niece and a nephew.
Okay.
So like seeing them, you know, is almost like, okay, we're doing this for you. You know, we're doing this so y'all have something to come to too, like we did.
Would you say that's for you?
I'm very family oriented.
Okay.
And so for me, absolutely, I think that that's my drive right now, is that, you know, this is something that, you know, if we keep it going, it can be something for a couple generations. It doesn't have to stop with us. So I think that's the goal for us, is to do more so the next generation has more. You get what I'm saying? Like, we always want to think about the next, because when we were the next, we were always thought of.
Yeah. That's definitely a good way to look at it. What is it that you want to pass on to the next generation? Like, what do you want them to, what principles do you want to set the tone for you to continue on?
So for me, I'm big on the philanthropic side.
Okay.
I want to continue to give back to the community more than we've already done. We sponsor Wells in Ghana. We do back to school drives for the kids, help them get ready, haircuts, braids, anything they want. What else do? We did give wigs to the American Cancer Society in their wig program. We give back to a couple of youth groups. So more things like that. I did do in 2020 a homeless shelter.
Okay.
In conjunction with the church, that's what we did, and we were able to get donations for them because at that time in the winter, it was in the winter, and it was super cold outside. And if it was under, I think it was like 25 degrees or like maybe even less than that, you could go to the police office. But if it was more than 25 degrees, you had to stay outside.
Okay.
So we went out to get some of those people, and we brought them to the church, and we had food for them, we had beds for them to sleep in.
Okay.
And so I want to do more things like that. I want to give back more. We give back a lot, but that's something that really, really gives me joy. So if I had to say what would give me, what I want my mark to be is more giving back to the community.
Okay. And it's good to be able to get out there and again, still finding like what it is that brings you joy, that helps you, come and do this. When we talk about working jobs, it's typically a very dreadful thing, a very dreadful idea. And so being able to come into a company where you've been here, you've seen, the work that was put into it, you've been able to see firsthand the blood, sweat, and tears, and getting to try out every department to, find your flow in there, find, where you fit in there. Being able to have that and just being able to pass that along, pass those principles along, and make an impact is definitely, something to aspire to be. So all of you with family-owned businesses, you don't have to sell if you don't want to. Like I know that an exit strategy is, the key thing, but when we're talking about companies and building companies, it's about what do you own? What are your assets? What do you all have to pass down and transfer from your generation to the next? And as you can see, we're sitting here with a third generation. 3, 1, 2, 3, right here in the city of Chicago. So it's definitely possible. I want to get back to touching on your uncle being a Black chemist. So I ended up finding out that you all have a team of Black chemists here, preparing and making the hair product.
A team of chemists of color. Chemists of color. It's a multi-ethnic situation, but there is Black chemists. We have Latino chemists, and we also have Black, Latino, and Indian. I think we have. It's good because they know what our hair needs. They know what to look for, especially if they have the same texture, like they're able to feel. So it's good because then when you talk to them, they also know. Exactly. They know exactly what you're saying. And our testing process goes through, they test it on a mannequin's head before they even let somebody see the product. And then we go and we test it in a testing salon. And there's a period where we test it on different types of heads.
Okay.
And then that's usually when it's in the testing salon. My sister and I will get a sample and try it as well and say, whether we like it or not. But it's a big process, just creating a product, but they make it so easy because they understand what we're looking for and what hair concerns we're trying to address and things like that. They make it so easy.
And that's the point I wanted to make. Like, seeing the product on the shelves is one thing, and again, we don't know who's behind those labels most of the time. As we've been finding out, the blackest ones aren't even Black owned. That's a topic for another day, but having the product out there and knowing that it's Black owned is one thing, but actually having people of color who understand our hair, who understand our needs, making the product, that's a completely different story, and not one that I don't think too many other companies can say. I'm going to jump off the cliff and say that. And so I'm going ahead and jump off the cliff and say that I don't think too many companies could say that they have a full staff of chemists of color who understand our hair, understand the needs, producing and manufacturing the product, and testing it out before it even hits the shelves. And so say that testing period is like as far as you all getting the product to the shelves?
So the process is, well, there's a lot of different processes when it comes to creating a product. Number one, marketing has to feel that there's a need for that product. And then they go to, I'll just kind of go down the list of how we create a product. So if marketing says there's a need for this, whether it's a hair lotion or a gel, they go to R&D and the chemistry department and basically say like, hey, we want to make this product that does all these things.
Okay.
So they start working on a formula that would do whatever they needed to do, whether it's define curls, whether they want to moisturize curls, whether you needed to soften, whatever it is, they will make something. And then once they start making it, they will start testing on mannequins' heads for effectiveness to see if it says if it does what it's supposed to do. And if it does well in those testings, usually they do a couple of different batches too.
Okay.
So they'll tweak one formula and give you a different one, and it's basically a ingredient different. And then from there they're fine tuning it. So they'll use it on multiple different heads with multiple different textures and see how it works. They'll start pairing it with products to see how it works. And all the time, marketing is working on labels. They're working on artwork. They're working on hex codes for the bottles. They're working on all marketing material for the bottles. They're working on distributors, things like that. So while all that's going on, if it passes the mannequin trials, that's when they start varying it off and doing a couple of different variations and give some to the testing salon.
Okay.
So they test the products in the testing salon, and then from there, they have a launch date. So once it's cleared to go, there's a launch date, and that's when we start preparing all of the marketing campaign things.
Okay.
So it could take up to a year and a half for a product to come to fruition.
Completely launched. And I did hear that you all have a testing salon right here in-house to make sure that that product is excellent before it hits those shelves.
Absolutely. And we're always looking for hair models, just so you guys know. We need natural hair models, so because we have a whole bunch of goodies and good stuff coming out, so we are looking for new clients. Reach out.
How can they apply or submit their?
They can go to lusterproducts.com, go to contact us, and if you live in the city of Chicago and you can come during the day, we would love, well, first there has to be a hair consultation. Let me say that. There has to be a hair consultation, but if you pass that, we are definitely looking for natural clients for our testing salon so we could test out some of those products that we need to be pushing out to the market.
Okay, so if you're looking to be a hair model, they're looking for you in the city of Chicago. We are on 43rd, so just to give you an idea, but they are looking for hair models here at Luster Products. So make sure you go and
check them out. Right.
And so I know you all have like different brands. How do you decide what product goes under which brand? So I know you have the Shea Butter Coconut Oil, Pink Classics, Short Looks, and
Pink Classics has been around for years. That's something that is very versatile. You can use whether you're natural, whether you're relaxed, or whether you're in a protective style. S-Curl has always been more of a man's brand. Mm-hmm. Recently we came out with a unisex line called Free Flow.
Okay.
And in that line, those are also natural hair products, but they're based more on short hair concerns.
Okay, so like if you have a big chop.
A big chop, if you have waves, if you have a high top, or if you have the sides faded and the hair on top. Mm-hmm. It's more for that type of texture hair. I do love products in the Free Flow line as well. But Free Flow is for the guys. And then Pink has Shea Butter Coconut Oil, which is our second natural hair line that we've ever created. Okay. And the natural hair wave just kind of took off, honestly. So it consists of 10 products that address all hair concerns when you're natural. And then we came out with another line called Moisture Maintenance. Okay. And Moisture Maintenance is all about locking in the moisture. It has 2 deep conditioners, a hydrating gel, and it also has 2 lotions. Okay. And they are specifically about hair concerns, whether it's basically they're between shine and hydrate, and then it's repair and strengthen. Okay. So those are the 2 concerns that they really take from them. But the deep conditioners themselves they're great to add with any hair concern. But we try to switch it up depending on the brands were made for certain hair concerns. To add products on based on if they fit in that brand. So with moisture maintenance, we're pretty much into maintenance items. There's not a shampoo in that line, just 2 conditioners.
Okay.
So that's how we try to market it, by different hair concerns.
Okay, so it's not really necessarily, here's this line, and you get a shampoo, conditioner, literally in every single line. It's focusing solely on this line is fixing or, solving problems with this concern.
Right. We definitely want to have quality products on the market, and one thing that I do see is there's just a need for people to release a line every year. But that really doesn't give you a chance to focus on the products you do have out there if you're focused on a new line with a new shampoo and a new conditioner.
Yeah, because at that point it's about the line itself versus, and that might be like a different strategy that they have, but instead of focusing on the line itself, you all are focusing on here's the need that we're meeting, like here's the issue that we're tackling and how we're going to solve that problem.
And a lot of the lines that are created do the same thing. Like you use them to twist, you use them to braid, you use them to do a wash day. They're not any different. Like if you came out with a braid line versus, like a protective style line versus a natural hair line, okay, I could see that. But if all of these, basically take the concerns of dry hair, you do twist outs and braid outs, and you can use all of those products, what's the difference between them?
And I know I've seen them separate them based on hair texture. So it's like, oh, this is our 4C line, 4B line, this is for 4A, 3B. I know I've seen companies separating them that way. Is that something that you all focus on? Or not necessarily getting that deep into it?
Well, so shea butter coconut oil was formulated for type 4 hair. So yes, that's something we focus on, but we focus on the science behind our products are heavy in moisture for sure. So that's something that I feel like we have down to a science, is the moisture part.
Okay.
So some lines, they do market it and say they're for 4A, 4B, 4C, but they could be the same product.
Especially if it's
with a different scent.
Yeah.
So I think that we are just making sure that we're focusing on the quality of our products and if they work for all hair textures, which is what we say. But when we were formulating the products, we were asking for tighter texture hair models to make sure that it would stand up. Because usually if it works for the type 4 hair, the type 3 girls could use it as well.
Okay.
And then the type 2, it's just different products. So that's when the different products come in the line, because they may not, they may want a pudding instead of a cream.
Okay.
So it's those variations in the line that can address multiple hair types. And also people have different preferences.
As far
So some girls, I'm a gel girl. I love hair gel. There are some girls who won't touch hair gel.
Okay.
There's
versus
some
a souffle or something.
Souffle or a cream or a pudding. They're like, I'm more of a pudding girl. And it's like, okay, we have something for you too.
Okay.
So, but when we formulate our products, when they're natural hair, we try to make sure we're taking care of the type 4 hair.
Yeah.
Me and my sister both have, I basically have 3C, 4A kind of in the back. But for the most part, those products work for us too, so we know that. But we want to make sure, so we pretty much have the type 3 hair down. But when it comes to the type 4, that's what we're heavily testing and focusing on. Is it going to work for that particular hair? So we're more concerned that the products that we have already we're making sure that they're still up to par.
Okay.
With the standard, but a lot of them.
And as a type 4 girl, I appreciate it because shall we be real? There's fine moisture. Moisture is the key word. Moisture.
Natural hair is dry in general, so that's why deep conditioning, things like that, we're seeing a need for things like that in the market. That's how we came out with the moisture maintenance line, because deep conditioner was a really, really big SKU.
Yeah, deep conditioners, protein treatments.
Absolutely.
I see that you all are one of the only brands I've seen still with hot oil treatments. So
yes. That's
With
the
like
OG.
hot oil treatment.
Absolutely. That's the OG.
Grew up on hot oil treatments and finding a hot oil treatment in 2023. It's been like, did they just stop making them? Like, what happened?
Yeah, but I guess girls are making them at home now too. They're making their own. But yeah, we do have one that's a 10-in-1, and that's one of my favorites, especially with some deep conditions.
So, I wanted to definitely get into your experience being a living descendant of generational wealth in action. What was that like for you growing up, and seeing this current shift in times that we're in, where we as a Black community are now all focused on, building generational wealth? Love the fact that that's a conversation, but it's not too often that we get to see current Black descendants of generational wealth, for again reasons that we won't get into today. But how has that been for you?
So in Chicago, when I was growing up, there were multiple families that owned businesses that were hair care businesses.
Okay.
There was like Soft Sheen Carson, it was Johnson Products. So it was a couple other, families that were around. So I guess for me at the time, I didn't realize what was being built until I was in college. And when I say that, like, I knew we had a business and I knew that it was thriving and growing, but I didn't know how I fit in that.
Okay.
And so when I realized that, like, I got out of college and was like, wow, like, this is here for you, you know what I mean? And you can help grow it for the next generation. I was so grateful. And I realized, like, all those hours my dad sacrificed and wasn't able to, come home because he had to go out of town for a work thing. That made me appreciate that 100 times more. But generational wealth itself, yes, it's something that we're all starting to realize. Investing or like setting your family up for the next generation was something that did not resonate with us until now, kind of, or realize that that's something we could do. So I guess for me, I'm blessed that my grandfather was able to start something and that my father and his siblings were able to keep it going, and that makes me feel even more blessed that I could keep it going with his determination. And like my grandfather's his values that he instilled in my dad and his siblings all are very much values that we have now. So I think it was something that was ingrained in me little, but I didn't realize how much I benefited from it until I got out of college.
And I love that, like, you coming to that realization, like, this is here for you. Your family, like, being there to welcome you all with open arms, like, this is always here for you all. I know that you said that they didn't pressure you all to come into the family business. They let you all, have your own, live your own lives, and basically find your way back. And I know, especially when we hear about family-owned businesses, we do hear that pressure a lot of, make sure you all keep the family alive, and the kids are usually like, I don't want to do this. And so hearing that, your family took a different approach and, instilled in you all this idea that, this is here for you guys. That I love. And that's truly what I feel like building like generational wealth is about. Making sure that the generations that come after you always have something to come back to. So whether they, work inside of the business or not, just having something there and even knowing that you have something there for you takes a lot of pressure off, I'm sure, especially when you graduated. It
took pressure off, but I felt like it built pressure at the same time. It was a different level. Yeah, it was a different level of pressure because you're coming in and your dad is your boss. So, like, there was just certain things that I feel like he would say to make sure we understood, like, what, you're here to work, you're here to contribute, and you're here to make sure that you're building something for the next generation.
Okay.
So for me, it's more so because he's my dad, it's always like, okay, what you doing? What's going on? We need to talk. So like he's staying on us, and I feel like that's what his dad did.
Okay.
Because he wants you to do good just as much as his dad wanted him to do good. So my dad and my uncle and my aunt stay on top of us to make sure that we're doing what needs to be done for the next generation. So I will say that it was a sense of like, yes, I have a job, but it also was a sense of like, that means I'm gonna have to see you every day and report to you, and that's different when you're outside of the house.
I forgot about that part.
Right, and then you still gotta go home, you know, and see them at home, and so you have to learn how to separate work and home life in that sense, and so that was different for me because I went from just my dad being at home to like, that's your boss.
And how was that transition? Because I know he said that you all keep things performance based, you know, just to keep it fair around the office. But how was that transition for you even started, and then like again just continuing on within the family legacy?
I would say that my dad is such a good guy. When I say a good guy, like he's fair. You know what I mean? He's always considerate, and so I don't have a problem with the performance based at all. If anything, I think he comes a little harder to make sure that we're on our P's and Q's for sure. He's gonna ask us, did you get that done? What you doing? What's going on? We need to talk. I need a plan. Rework your plan. So my dad has always instilled in us, work hard and good things will come to you and be consistent, because that's what my grandfather did. That's all he knows. You know, is working hard and working. So I think seeing him do that makes it easier, and not easier, but it gives us the drive.
Okay.
My dad's like the first one in and the last one out.
Oh wow.
Work does not stop. I'm telling you.
Even on the Saturdays. I mean,
even on Saturdays.
He's still technically an entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
And so as an entrepreneur, yeah, the work definitely doesn't stop. But even at like the level that Luster Products is on, you know, to hear and to know that, yeah, still on Saturdays, girl, president, is he the CEO?
He's the CEO and president, absolutely.
President and CEO still coming in to get the job done. So as an entrepreneur, for all the entrepreneurs out there, yeah, when you hit that, and when you hit a certain level, the work is not going to stop. So that's amazing to hear that he has that drive and is instilling that drive in you all, so that you continue to pass that along.
Yeah, I'm known for opening up my emails on the weekends too and responding to some. So yeah, he's definitely instilled in us that you're always working. You get what I'm saying? There's always something that could be done or should be done.
Yeah, that's that entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
That's that entrepreneur spirit.
Absolutely. So it's been something that since I worked here especially has been like, all right, what can we do? If I see something come across my phone that I can answer, I absolutely will.
And see, that's also when you care.
Absolutely.
Because when you don't care, it's like, oh girl, you'll get to that, you know, whenever. But finding the work, finding something to do, that shows that you care. And you, again, at that point, it stops even feeling like work. It's like, you know, well, I'm taking care of this thing. It's your baby. You gotta nurture it. You gotta pour into it, and pouring into it is doing the work.
Absolutely.
Like, so, are the e-commerce manager, and we are currently seeing loads and loads of new technology. We're pretty much like at the start of I would still kind of say this is the start, but like a new wave of technology that's about to transform the way that we do business, and the way that we live our lives. How are you all adjusting to the changes that are here, that are coming, and that are on the horizon?
So we're adjusting by, first of all, understanding what's going on. I know I talked about how advertising went from billboards and commercials to a minute or less hair tutorials. You need to give education, you need to use TikTok sounds to do it, and you need to incorporate those other viral sounds that really aren't saying much to be a niche for your business. So understanding how that can be done is the first thing, because Instagram, they have it down pat. Facebook, they have it down pat. When it comes to TikTok, that's a whole new way to market. So our goal is to understand what's up and coming, so then that way we can tackle it by understanding first, then execution.
Okay. Are you all currently on TikTok?
We are.
Okay. Are you all active on TikTok, or are you just getting your feet wet?
So we have a couple of brands that are active on TikTok. Pink has a page, S-Girl has a page, and then we have a corporate page.
Okay.
So we are active on TikTok, but that's something we are still, you know, like figuring out for sure. Like it's something that we're figuring out for sure, but it's also trial and error. It's something that, yeah, like social media itself or like how to advertise on those type of platforms is not something they offer in schools. Not yet. I feel like in a couple years, that's the things that's gonna be next is e-commerce and social media. But for right now, it really is like trial and error.
Okay.
It really is. It makes it easier because some of the stuff that works on Instagram can definitely work on TikTok. But TikTok is a whole nother beast. So we're just learning how to pivot, you know, and learning like how to talk to the newer consumers, you know, how to talk to a different generation. And I feel like that's something we're always going to have to challenge ourselves to listen, you know, because their concerns may not be a millennials, but Gen Z may have a different want from the millennials, you know? And so it's learning how to connect with a different audience, and what they like. So that's what we're in the process of doing, is learning how to even market to a younger audience. Because I'm not a part
especially Gen Z.
Right, I'm sorry.
Gen Z is give us what we want, or we're not buying anything from you, actually. Like,
in less than 30 seconds.
And girl, you have 29 actually.
Okay.
Like, or really.
Make it fast.
And I do like that strategy and approach that you all are taking to TikTok, where each brand has its own page.
Absolutely.
So that you can, again, give them what they want. So that, because girl, we didn't come here for S-Curl if that's not what if you're not in that market. So I think that's a good strategy to have each brand, so that, again, we're still building a Luster brand, but each of our products can hold their own because the assets of value, you know, talking wealth, and then, but also like building up that audience and building up that clientele in a sense, and feeding them specifically versus trying to feed everybody under one big umbrella. I like that. That's a good idea.
Yeah, so follow us on TikTok, you guys. Luster's Pink and Luster S-Curl.
Yes. And what's the headquarters name?
Luster's Products.
Make sure you follow them too.
Yes, follow us on
trying to say doing business and like technology. Are you all getting into any of the AI technology that's currently out there and that we're seeing being implemented? And are you all looking into incorporating digital assets into the company's fold at this time?
Not currently. AI is something that is still relatively new, so I think that we're gonna wait on that.
Okay.
Digital assets, as of right now, we don't have any plans for those, but that is something in the future we'll probably look at for sure.
Okay, so y'all keep an eye on it, but
right.
Seeing where Luster is, can find their place in, their market. Let's talk about your role as e-commerce manager. So give us a quick rundown of what that job entails and how do you bring your spin to it?
So as the e-commerce manager, I'm in charge of the web store in totality. So I'm in charge of making the products are being shipped out, that orders have been placed, and they basically left the facility. I'm in charge of the inventory on the website. I'm in charge of email marketing as well as the sales that are on the website. Okay. I work in hand with the brands. Okay. So my sister's a brand manager for Pink, so I do a lot of stuff with Pink, whether that's working with the social media team for in-house content that can also go on the web store, as well as adding on different things to the web store, whether it's blogs, whether it's an email blast, or whether it's a new product. I manage everything in the web store, and I also talk directly to the consumers.
Okay, so like the contact chat, as well as if they have any product concerns, any product recommendations, I do that as well. Is that keeping some of the products to you all, like for yourselves, and then releasing other products? Is there a strategy behind that, or is it just more so this is how we select, what will go to stores and what we'll keep, what assets we'll keep with us?
The sales team pitches each product, but it's a way that, let me explain how that works. So they go to like a Target and they talk to a buyer and say, hey, we have 10 products to present to you. The buyer then picks from the 10 products what products they want in the store.
In that store
And they will tell you
Specifically?
yes, in that store specifically. So if it's Target or Walmart, you have a presentation and you basically say like, hey, these are the 10 products we have in the Shea Butter Coconut Oil collection. And from there, they may only take 3 or 4.
Okay.
And so if we put them in our web store, they're also selling beauty supply stores, and they could be in different retailers, but that's where it becomes like, you may not be able to get a certain product in Target because they only took in so many.
Okay.
They have an amount, they don't usually take in like a whole line to start out. They'll usually take a couple, see how it does, and then they'll add the whole line. So that gives us more distribution for people to try the products than just sending them to like beauty supply stores. They may not have a beauty supply store in their area.
It's definitely not one of them.
So it just gives us a bigger distribution net.
Okay. And so I know from an interview I saw with your dad and your sister on the Black on the Shelf podcast, so shout out to them. Your dad was mentioning that you, like in the stores, they get like maybe 12 feet or something. As far as like shelving space, it's for you to display your product and have the product there.
You talking about the ethnic section? Or just the brand section in general?
I believe he was referring to like the brand section in general. And maybe it wasn't, maybe 10 to 12 feet was maybe for the Black hair care all together. That sound about,
yeah, sounds about
part.
So them taking in the product is one thing, but also product placement is another. It's the eye line. You want to be seen in eye line too. So those are the things that go into. It's not just about being in the ethnic section. You want to be at eye level or at an end cap.
Where is end cap?
End cap is going to be at the end of the aisle. When you
the
turn,
aisles?
yeah.
Okay.
So like when you turn, how they have like chips or like pop. Those are the products. So those are like prize spots.
Okay, because I'm like, I know especially when I'm walking in Target, they'll have like a full section of different products. I didn't realize. I always assumed that was like, oh, maybe they're like running some type of special right here or something. But
And it could be that for an end cap. You know, an end cap can be a promotion. It can be also hot products that are just selling. But those are the spots you either want to be at eye level or you want to be on an end cap.
Okay.
And those are what we strive for. You want to definitely be eye level. You want to be eye level or an end cap, and that's why merchandisers come in to go into the store and make a relationship with those actual store owners, so that they're like, okay, we'll place you here.
Okay.
That's why it's important to be in the field as well, so that you can have a relationship with your distributors, so that they do look out for you because you look out for them.
Okay. And so let's talk about that work that's required to put in, because during this just one part of the conversation, you mentioned like at least like 10 different channels of people that you all work with in order to build this business, build this company. And the main and most important part of building business is building relationships. And so let's talk about that, like your transition into that, coming into an established company where they have relationships formed, and then you coming in as an e-commerce manager. How has that been for you all with building these relationships and doing the work that's required to work with the different departments? You mentioned for the e-commerce store, you also have to work with inventory, which means you have to run with warehouse, which means you have to work with sales in each department. How is that, and what has that experience been like for you with continuing to build a local legacy?
So my coworkers, it's a team effort, you know, like we all can help where we can. So for me, I'm grateful that I have the help there too. You know, it's just an email and like, I got you, you know. So for me, it's been seamless working with others, especially if it's something as quick as a lot of stuff I can do on my own, but everybody's here to help you. So we have a whole bunch of co-workers that'll stop what they're doing if you really, really need help too. That was just a whole different ball game for me.
Yeah, because I saw in that same interview how they were like, you all would be fine basically if orders aren't being shipped out on time. Because I thought, I would have assumed that when your products are online at like Target or something, that Target was handling the shipping, but
we still have to ship them out to the distributors for them to be able to sell them. So that's usually for like those big box stores. But yeah, if you do not bring, if there's a deadline that you're supposed to have their product there and you can't or you don't have it there, yeah, they can absolutely charge you for the days that you are still getting the product to them.
And so, and hearing that was like interesting, because it's like, yeah, if you can get find a fee, and you can lose your placement if you are on top of it and organized.
Absolutely.
Organization is key when you're building a business.
My dad used to say, if you didn't plan, then you plan to fail.
Yeah, and essentially that's what's going to happen.
If you did not plan, you plan to fail. So that's something that he's always telling us to rework a plan, get a plan, come to me with a plan. He is very much like, we're going to do this right.
And you said he was like, what is strategy? Okay, go rework the strategy. What is your strategy?
What's the end goal? Write down the end goal and then write the steps you're going to take to get to it, and then come back and we'll talk. Absolutely. He is a boss of clarity. He is going to make sure that you are 100% clear on the plan.
He said, come back and then we'll talk.
Right, come back.
Because I don't have time for this. Well, let me think about.
Right, no.
You ain't ready.
Mm-mm.
Go ahead and get the plan together first.
Think about it. Come back to me. Absolutely.
That's good though. That's like keeping you all on your toes, and again showing you all what it takes to be able to maintain and sustain a company that has a legacy that you all will continue on, especially operating at this level. And you said that you all, I know that you all mentioned that you are a family spirited company. So what does that mean to you? I know you've already touched on like how you all see your coworkers, and it's a very helping and welcoming environment, but how is that, and why would you say it's important to be a family spirited company when inside of a family owned business?
I said I've had coworkers who worked here for longer than I've been alive. So my mom, when we grew up, would make us call them aunt.
Oh wow.
So like I have an Aunt Doris that we're not related, but she's been here. She started when she was 19 years old.
Wow.
And she's here still. And so like she's literally seen us be born. There's a couple of people that seen us been born or were around when we were younger, and they're still here.
Wow.
So it's that level of like respect that like was instilled in us even when we were younger. Like, you don't call her miss, you call her auntie. You know how black people are.
Yeah.
It's not
It's
miss.
given, that's black. Like that's us with our communities and building a community. Like, no, we are all responsible, for this child. We are all responsible for this business.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna take on, that responsibility as a whole, as a unit.
And my dad is actually my aunt Doris's son's godfather.
Wow.
So that's what it's a very, very tight community. And if you've been, we're definitely the type that if you've been rocking with us for this long, we absolutely rock with you because you're part of the reason that we've been able to make it so far. Everybody in this picture is part of the reason why we were able to make it so far.
Yes. A beautiful black team. Like
right.
A beautiful team of color. Like,
right.
This is a black owned hair color company. And again, you can see who's producing and responsible for the product getting to you, to your house, to the shelf, to your house, and into your head. Like
who's packing it, all of that. We own 100% of our manufacturing process.
And that is that deserves a round of applause in itself. Like, I understand you all have a plant out in Blue Island.
So yes, we have a plant here. And that's where we manufacture most of our hair care products. You cannot manufacture aerosol in the city of Chicago.
Okay.
So we have an aerosol plant in Blue Island, Illinois that exclusively just manufactures our hairsprays.
Okay.
And that's run by my Uncle Ricky. Still work here. My grandfather's brothers still work here.
Oh, really?
Yes. And their kids as well. So yeah, my
grandma. I didn't know that.
Yes, he has two brothers. One recently retired, and the other one still works with the company.
Come on, retired too?
Oh yes.
Like your girlfriend, though, you say he was like, man, I'm seeing deeds to homes. Like, this is what I'm building, but you have a building people can retire too?
Absolutely. And he was again very proud about that. Very proud about being able to build something so big that it touched other people and that it gave them a leg up to get and do what they needed to do. They were able to buy homes, they were able to put their kids into college, they were able to buy new cars, they were able to do so much with one dream that he had that started out with $500. He had a loan for $500 and he had a 6th grade education.
Come about with the loan?
So I'm not sure about the $500 loan, but I do know that he got a loan later on from another family member, and he was able to buy his first machine with that.
Now, what kind of machine was it?
It was a packing machine, so it was something that was going to help him fill products, and that was supposed to help him with his distribution because he was filling them by hand at first.
Right, that's how your dad got his start.
Right, right. Mixing products in the basement, absolutely. Packing, putting labels on, shipping them, absolutely.
Okay.
So my dad and my uncle and my aunt basically learned the business from the ground up.
Like
Literally learned labels, all of that from the ground up.
Effort.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Hard work for sure.
You know, effort is key. Like, he understood branding. He understood we need to have labels on these jars. No, I'm not just going to go buy a jar and, you know, write our name on it. We're building a brand. Like, but.
And so I need for a machine.
Right. I need a machine now because we don't have time to be sitting here doing this. I need you to go do something else. Actually, go on ahead and learn, you know, this business part, the foundational part. I love that.
Absolutely. So he was just so tickled by that. He was so tickled by being able to give scholarships away. He was so able. Absolutely. He loved that. You know, and that's what I think I resonate with him the most on is, you know, being able to do for others.
Yeah.
I'm not really like concerned about what I'm doing for myself, but if I'm able to help somebody in some other way, whether that is, you know, what he said, helping them be able to put their kids in a good school, whether that's being able to feed the less fortunate, whether that's, you know, all of those things are just very important. So we're just blessed that we're able to give back every year.
Yeah, that's definitely a blessing. Like, as an entrepreneur myself, like, that's a goal of mine to, like, that would trip me out. Like, I'm able to, somebody's able to buy a home off of, like, what I pay them. They're able to sustain, because for me, it's about not just settling for, you know, the bare minimum. Like, I push that, like, through the work that I do as an accountant, but I push that on people, like, through people's lives, because it's like I want you to be able to see, you know, more for yourself, see what you can accomplish, and see what's out there and available to you. Like, and so him being able to provide those opportunities, people can purchase homes. Again, you can see how many people's lives he's been able to touch, and retire people too. Like, look, retiring somebody, it's no easy feat. Like, that's a major accomplishment.
Absolutely, and he was proud of it. We're still proud in that, you know. We're still proud in the fact that we have over 200 employees worldwide, and we have offices. We sell internationally and domestically. We're, you know, proud that everybody has been supporting us for 65 years. You know, like, it's a blessing that we're able to do it for this long, because we wouldn't have been able to do it without the community support.
Yeah. You all starting out with that community right here in your headquarters, by building that environment, by setting that tone that we are going to be a family-spirited company.
Absolutely.
Which I love that, versus like a family-owned company. And for me, word to me, like, when you're saying family-spirited versus family-owned, own implies, you know, we kind of value business more than we value family, versus family-spirited, like, no, we value the essence of what family means, and making sure that not only are we handling our business by getting you a quality product, but we taking care of our people. We pouring love into this product. Pouring love into it, like, love is a key ingredient that is slept on, I feel like, for a lot of different things, but love is definitely one of those things that you cannot, you know, you can't take lightly, and you can't forget about when building anything. Needs love in order for it to put that magic touch on it. So
I think my dad instilled in us, you know. At the end of the day, my dad is still gonna remember your husband, your kids, your dad, your mom, ask them how they're doing, and, you know, he's gonna check in.
And those type of things, like, that's what helps build a company. Like, again, the greatest value to any company is the people. And so having a leader who is actually paying attention to invested in their people by simply knowing their family members' names. Like, you might not think that that's, you know, a big deal, but you know how big of a deal it is for you to come into your place of work again. We're here for 40 hours a week. Some of us 40 hours plus. For you to just simply show me that you are invested in me enough to just know my family's name. It makes all the difference. It makes the person want to be like, oh, you know what? I do feel like I'm a part of this. I am a part of something again. That love touch being put in there. These people are invested in me and they're pouring into me. I'm going to make sure that when I come into this establishment, I want to pour the love that they're pouring into me. I'm going to pour it right back into whatever part I have in making sure that this product is hitting the shelves and that this company is continuing to build this legacy.
Absolutely.
I love that. And so my last question for you is, what is a legacy that Simone would like to leave?
I want to leave a legacy that Luster Products is an innovative company. It's a creative company, and we have quality products. And I want to make sure that the legacy I leave is that they remember that we're still Black-owned and family operated, and that we care about the community. That's been the message we've been sending, but I guess for people to really get it, because some people still don't know that we're Black-owned. They think Pink sold years ago.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. That is something we get.
Where did they get it from?
Because everybody else sold. You know, and that's just like the thing. It's a new wave where, like, my dad would say that you walk soft but carry a big stick, he said. And it was more like, we were taught when we were younger to not be boastful. This was a thing where it was like, yeah, that's your family, but at the same time, you don't have to, like, yell it. Now, in this new wave of social media, you have to be out there. You have to be a face. You have to be willing to talk about it. You have to be willing to promote it. And that's something that we're just getting comfortable with doing more so, because before it was no need for that.
Okay.
People want to relate with who is selling the products as much as the products themselves.
And that was part of that 2020 shift, where we again started finding out that most of these companies, as Black as they looked, girl, weren't even Black. Okay, I literally just found out a few more yesterday. Like, okay. So I know for me in particular, like, when I do find a brand or a company that I like, I'm going right to that bio to see if the founder is listed. If I don't see the founder listed, the next step I'm taking is scrolling down to, like, you know, the top 6 pictures to see if I see the founder on there. If I still don't see the founder on there, I'm going directly to the website, to the About Us page to see who owns this company. And for me, I know in particular, it was that discovery of all of these companies that have been passing themselves off as black owned based on their marketing, and, you know, them talking to us as if they were Black owned, and finding out that they weren't. It was like, okay, I'm as a consumer, especially with me, you know, determining where I'm going to put where I'm going to spend my dollars. I'm going to make sure that I'm, you know, spending them with Black-owned companies. And so, navigating that transparency, you know, aspect of it, and even seeing you all's website, you all aren't really, you know, still like flashy with it, or, you know, trying to be seen. How are you navigating this new space of opening yourselves up to, okay, how are we going to get the people to get to know us?
I'm a very private person. And so for me, this is my first interview. So for me, it's just, right. And I have anxiety. So I'm just taking it a step at a time, and I'm realizing that this is necessary. You know what I mean? It's necessary to tell your story. It's necessary for people to connect. And it's necessary for people to understand what our mission is, you know? Yeah. And I get comfort in knowing that I'm not the only one. I went to go see my dad speak yesterday, and that gave me kind of clarity even in what I was going to say. You know, seeing somebody else do it. And it was interesting because my dad does a whole bunch of speaking engagements and things like that. But it was refreshing to know that he was still a little nervous yesterday. And he came up with, like, how did I do? And so it comforted me in knowing that putting yourself out there is something that is uncomfortable, but again, it is necessary. And I do want people to understand who we are and what we have to offer. So I've just been trying to take it, say yes to more opportunities. I'm reading this book called Rejection Proof. So it's about doing something even though you might get rejected or it might not work out. So for me, I'm just trying to take a step out there. It's uncomfortable, but you've been making it really easy for me. So I really do appreciate you being easy to talk to. And yes, you've been such a huge help. So I really appreciate you for just making it very easy for me to just sit and chill and talk to you and not make it have as much pressure as I thought it would be.
Well, I appreciate that because I'm currently in that same boat where it's like finding that balance, like, and finding what works for me, making sure that, I understand what those trends are. But at the end of the day, I still have to stay true to myself and I still have to do what's comfortable for me. And full transparency, I was like nervous to reach out to you.
Why?
I was like, so I saw the reel that you posted about, it was pretty much like about your legacy, and I was like, you should reach out to her. I'm like, I would love to know. I want to know their story. I want to know her story. Like, I would love to know more about this. And I'm like, oh, I don't know if they want to do this type of thing. Like, I was nervous. I'm like, what if she say no? And so it's interesting you mentioned that book, Rejection Proof. And I told myself, literally, I was like, it's 100% of the shots you don't take. Worst she can do is say no. So are you going to sit here knowing that you want to have this conversation, knowing that it would be great? Or are you going to sit here like, no, I'm not going to do it? So I reached out. It was
She absolutely did. And that's the thing, is that we psych ourselves out before we even really put ourselves in the ring to do something.
Yeah.
You can talk yourself out of great ideas, and I do feel like that's something, if you feel silly doing it, okay, but still do it.
Yeah, I'm going to do it. Sitting here feeling crazy, I'm going to do it anyway. Like, it doesn't even matter because, again, it's about just getting out there and being able to put yourself out there.
Absolutely.
And that whole transparency thing in business, today it's about just being, like you said, just being able to tell your story. I feel like as, business owners, especially with you all as pioneers, again, the word pioneer, if you're not understanding, we set the tone. Like, we are the leader in this. We laid the table for you guys.
And we good at this, we true to this.
Again, this is what we do. Like, this is what we do. And so when you're coming in as a pioneer, looking at trends, like, girl, trends, we set the trends. But, the transparency thing is key. But I think, like, focusing on telling your story, I think that's what makes it easier and will make that transition easier. Personally, I enjoy being in real life, living my real life, and creating real life experiences. So I just want to say thank you, Simone, for allowing us to come here to the Luster Products headquarters. Thank you for the conversation. Definitely took away a lot. I'm so glad I took that step and was not scared and came to have this conversation with you. I hope you were inspired and see that, yes, building generational wealth is possible. We're literally looking at a descendant of it right here in the flesh. We are in the building of it right here in the flesh on the south side of Chicago on 43rd Street. So I want you to know that this is possible. We can build generational wealth and we can keep something for ourselves. That's it for today. Until next time, thank you for joining me today with Generational Wealth in Action, and I'll see you next time.